from a secret location near the port of Asheville, in the heart of the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of western North Carolina. It's my 48th and final weekly Sunday live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Your tips are very much appreciated. I hope you're doing well. Appreciate you tuning in today. Gonna start right off with a baseball song. Moberg the catcher, good fielding, no hit. Somehow he lasted 19 years till his knees made him quit. Never really played much, but never really cared. He was happy just to hang around with a uniform to wear. Moberg, Princeton graduate, went on to study law. Got his degree from Columbia, all the while playing ball. The Dodgers came a-calling. They were trying to sign a Jew that could help himself some tickets in the Bronx and Yonkers too. Moberg, the professor of the bullpen, joked with pitchers, reading them the newspapers that he used to have delivered. He'd speak to them in Russian, Japanese, and French. He was the greatest scholar that ever rode the bench. Moberg and the Babe, they went over to Japan with a team of touring all-stars giving clinics for the fans. This was back in the 30s as the world prepared for war. Mo took a lot of pictures, nobody knew what for. Moberg, the secret agent, never even told his mom of his mission to determine if the Germans had the bomb. He learned to speak good physics without hardly a lisp. He infiltrated lectures with the top German scientists. Moberg, the walking riddle, would put his fingers to his lips. If he recognized him on the street, he'd nod and whisper, shh. Kept a lot of secrets no one will ever know. He knew lots of people, nobody ever really knew Mo. Moberg the beloved, he had the gift of gab. There was a moocher, a celebrity who never paid the tab. He could get in at the ballparks on his lifetime player's pass. Meet up in the press box, someone always filled his glass. Moberg, son of an immigrant, brought his father shame. All that education, but then he plays a child's game. Mo made it to the majors, but his dad would never go see him. Mo's baseball card is on display at the CIA Museum. Long after he retired, there was still Moberg the myth. And he rode into the sunset, sadly hanging on to it. Appearing on a game show as the mystery guest. Some say disappearing might be what Moberg did best. Here's a new song. Just recently recorded it, and whenever it is I put out a new CD, this will be on it. You think you know, they aren't really so, but you insist they're true. A lot of people do, but it would shock you if you knew. You'd be angry too, but that takes letting go. The things you think you know.
It's not like you believe. You can't even conceive the first domino, the things you think you know. Well, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. And you go on and blow till you're good and blue. I tell you, even though there's no convincing you, but that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. Yeah, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. The things you think you know were like that long ago, but not so much today. You really have to go back a ways until there wasn't any gray. You only had to hope and pray, maintain the status quo, the things you think you know. The things you think you know. Excuse me, but hello, who's telling you these things? And who's pulling the strings? But who knows more than you? None of the experts do. Well, anyway, there you go, the things you think you know. Well, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. You go on and blow till you're good and blue. I tell you, even though there's no convincing you, but that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. Yeah, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. The things you think you know, that warm and cozy glow is mostly good for show. Gives you comfort though, you keep stoking the fire to get it going higher. You won't let it lie low, the things you think you know. Well, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. You go on and blow till you're good and blue. I'll tell you, even though there's no convincing you, but that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. Yeah, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do. That's what you don't know, things you think you do. Yeah, that's what you don't know, the things you think you do.
Well, as you know, I'm going to be switching to a new platform starting next week at 2 o'clock Eastern. It will be on connectclub.com, and that URL is, oops, other side. It's in reverse, but right there. And they were nice enough to create a permanent full-time address for me on the spot when I asked them to. So it will be the same link week after week after week, just like on Facebook, where it would be Chuck Brodsky live/live. So until they had done this, it was supposed to be a different link every week, and this solves that problem. This next song is about musicians who literally played for their lives, and this took place in Auschwitz. If somebody arrived with a musical instrument, they often were forced to audition for their lives right there on the spot as they got off the cattle car trains. And those that were proficient enough, their lives were spared and they were put into the camp orchestra. And I'll show you a picture of some of those musicians there. And they would play when new cattle cars arrived with more people. As the selection process was taking place, they would play in the mornings as the work groups would leave camp for work, and they'd play as they returned. The song is called Warsaw in May.
Ones were moving east, and we were turned in by a priest. all the rest. The cattle cars from there went west. It was my precious violin. When we arrived, it saved my skin. The audition I would pass that day, the Wagner I dared not misplay. My violin would save my life, as well my daughter and my wife. They summoned me to come and play. I close my eyes and go halfway. They were so merry and so gay, who danced by night and killed by day. They'd give me little scraps of food, sometimes when they were in the mood. I'd draw my bow and they would sway. They had no orders to obey. The officers, their wives and whores, drinking their cognacs and their liqueurs. They crane their necks, strain their ears. I don't know where they found the tears. Maybe someplace back in Berlin. Sometimes I slip some Mahler in. While I'd escaped to someplace else, my shattered mind would limp away to Warsaw in the month of May. Conducting in the concert hall, I would not see the things I saw. I'd hear the woodwinds and the strings. I'd tune out all the other things. I'd draw my bow, they would sway. They had no orders to obey. The officers, their wives and whores, drinking their cognacs and their liqueurs. They crane their necks, strain their ears. I don't know where they found the tears. Maybe someplace back in Berlin. Sometimes I slip some Mahler in. Start to play at dawn until the work crews had all gone. When they returned, we'd play some more, and in between we did our chores. We were not there to entertain people stepping off the trains. They played when we were told to play. We'd stop when they would say, go away. I'd draw my bow, they would sway. They had no orders to obey. The officers, their wives and whores, drinking their cognacs and their liqueurs. They crane their necks, strain their ears. I don't know where they found the tears. Maybe someplace back in Berlin. Sometimes I slip some Mahler in. Sometimes I slip some Mahler in. Sometimes I slip some Mahler in.
So once again, there's that Connect Club platform, and all you need to remember is knct.club/chuckbrodsky, and it will take you directly to the event page. So, a bunch of years back, I think it was in 2006 if I'm not mistaken, a movie was made about two friends of mine, and I was invited to be in the film, and also my song was the closing track in the credits. The movie was called Radio. It was a major motion picture put out by Sony. And the two people it was about were Coach Harold Jones, high school football coach at T.L. Hanna High School in Anderson, South Carolina, and a developmentally disabled young man named James Kennedy that was given the nickname Radio by everybody because he always carried a transistor radio to his ear. It was his one and only friend sometimes. Well, Coach Jones basically adopted radio and started to invite him to come to the football practices every day, and eventually made him part of the team as a coach. And then radio started to come to school during the days and hang out with the coach, and before long he was given free rein to go anywhere he wanted to. He would read the lunchtime menu over the loudspeaker system during homeroom, and he became basically the school's mascot for many, many, many years. I want to show you a couple of pictures here. Oops, wrong show. That's Coach and Radio and me at the Special Olympics in Anderson, South Carolina. I was invited to sing the song there at Special Olympics. That is on the set of the movie. I'll show you more of them in a bit. There's Radio in his director chair. And that's Ed Harris and me on the set. That was the world premiere of the film. They held it in Anderson, South Carolina, which was a very nice gesture. That's the after party. I was invited to sing the song there too. Radio came up and joined me. That's from the film itself, the final scene where they replaced the actors with the real characters. And as you can see, just behind Coach Jones on the dais there is yours truly. And there's my song in the credits. It was fun. And this is for Bill Smithern. If you're watching today, this is for you.
Anderson, South Carolina, TL Hannah High. The people there will tell you, just ask any passerby. Not the kid who speaks in gibberish. Folks will tell you, shoot. Well, there was nothing but a little love and attention. Gave voice to a mute. Stood with his transistor pressed against his ear, picking up certain frequencies that only he could hear. There was this little man inside it, perhaps his only friend, the only one who talked to him, the only one back then. Well, Coach Jones yelled, "Come here, boy," to this kid up in the stands. He was mimicking him loudly and making gestures with his hands. The players on this football team exchanged uneasy glances. You jumped when Coach said to jump, but how slow the boy was advancing. Coach Jones was pulling on the drawstrings of his hood. The kid had spoken gibberish, but Coach, he understood. Lamb imitating lion should look like easy prey. But this is not what happened, no. It went the other way. This kid they nicknamed Radio, he was 18 going on 6. The team needed a water boy, so the job was his. Coach convinced the principal to bend a couple of rules. They'd pick up Radio every day on the way to school. And everywhere that Coach Jones went, his lamb was sure to go. They tried him out in special ed, but his marks were too low. Kid's now in his 60s, his hair is sprinkled white. For 40-some years he's come to school, but cannot read or write. But come football Fridays, they let Radio be the star. He falls in with the marching band, then with the color guard. He jumps when the cheerleaders jump, with pom-poms on his hands. And he cusses like the coaches do, and he high-fives with the fans. They give radio report cards, and they give him varsity letters. They let him wander freely in his T.L. Hanna sweater. He visits all the classrooms if ever there's a test. He whips out his box of crayons and he tries his very best. Well, everyone knows radio, and the townspeople adore him. And the students pat his head just like the parents did before them. Anderson, South Carolina, folks would tell you, shoot, there was nothing but a little love and attention gave voice to a mute.
As you might be aware, radio passed away about a year ago, and I attended his funeral down in Anderson, South Carolina. It was amazing how many people turned out. He meant a lot to an awful lot of people down there. Well, it's now time for this week's Puck View, and today's featured hockey puck of the week is from the Minnesota Fighting Saints of the Old World Hockey Association. The next song I'm going to play was inspired by a photograph that I saw on the front page of the local newspaper where I live, the Asheville Citizen-Times. This was right around the time that I first moved here, 26 years ago. And there was a political rally that had just taken place. And I saw this photograph. And I started to think, of course. And that led to this song. Oops. One bad note can ruin a whole song.
Souvenirs, admire our trinkets in front of our mirrors. A hat with a cross, a shirt with a star, the names of our teams tattooed on our arms. Given our gods at the moment of birth, the gods of our fathers and all others be cursed at the earliest age. We memorize verse, the gospel as it is written. We swear at our gods, we curse our rotten luck from the side of the road when we self-destruct. We ask them to save us and to get us unstuck from the muck we get ourselves into. Temples of stained glass and hand-cut stones, we built for our gods such magnificent homes. We visit sometimes, but we don't stay long. When the football games are on, we make deals with our gods to win back what we've lost, but in our pants pockets our fingers are crossed. Lord, give us this day, make this prosperous times, and help us to cover our crimes. We go to the seers, we say, show us the script that our gods have left for us, stashed in some crypt. Oh, secrets, they say, what has never been told, yours for a pile of your gold. We kill for our gods, we wage holy wars, assassinate presidents, burn down bookstores. We massacre children to settle old scores, yelling, our gods are great. gods must be proud of the blood on our hands and the way we go conquering far, far away lands. In the names of our gods, let the glory be theirs. Just let the spoils and the plunders be ours. We serve our gods in such humorless ways. Rituals we do, laws we obey. Sometimes in between we pray, but how often do we say, I love you, I love you. I love you.
If you're interested in picking up recordings of mine, you can pick up CDs directly from me at chuckbrodsky.com at the store there. And I'm the one that will pack them and ship them. So if you have a special request, like you might want them signed or signed specifically to somebody else as a gift, I'm happy to do that. Just put that in the notes. Also, if you're interested in digital downloads, you can purchase them at Bandcamp. So chuckbrodsky.bandcamp.com. Also, if you'd like to visit my website, chuckbrodsky.com, you can sign up for my email list, and you can read about the Ireland-Scotland tours, which I'll talk about a little later. But you might really get a kick out of the baseball page. There's a lot of good stuff there. If you click on any of those pennants, the song title, the song that is named on that pennant will play. And if you click on any of those position players in the field, it'll take you to a different section on that page. This next song was an assignment. I was told to write a song basically about dancing, and I don't dance. The premise is that I'm in some kind of a formal dinner ball setting, and I get tapped on the shoulder by a woman that asks if I'd care to dance. But since I have 2 left feet, and those are my feet, by the way, anyway, I ended up writing this song. It's called 2 Left Feet.
Hoping to meet, would have asked her to dance, but for my 2 left feet, she wasn't sitting with anyone else. I was just sitting there all by myself. I said, I didn't dance, I had 2 left feet, to this other girl standing over me in my seat. Besides, really wasn't my kind of beat. This wasn't the girl I was hoping to meet. I wasn't attracted, not on first glance. She wouldn't go away, I didn't want to dance. She lifted me up to my 2 left feet. My eyes went for the girl I was hoping to meet. Well, I was thinking I should make a break for the door. She pulled me out there onto the dance floor. The band started in on an old-fashioned waltz. She didn't lead, and so I did by default. And it was awkward enough, those very first steps. Stepped on her right toes and then on her left. Fading her eyes, I tried to be discreet, keeping tabs on the girl I was hoping to meet. Made me relax. She moved it up to the small of my back. Touching the nerve, I shot her a glance. She said, I thought you told me that you couldn't dance. She pointed down at my right foot, and on all the right places, wherever I'd put it. She followed me when I spun her around. And when I dipped her all the way down, the way her hair fell back and hung to the floor, the way we locked eyes then and forevermore. The thing about beauty, and I don't know why, but sometimes you don't see it till it pokes you in the eye. The one song ended and another began. We exchanged names and applauded the band. I guess I never did let go of her hand. For the next couple hours we danced and now we go out dancing every Saturday night. She dresses up, she's quite a sight. This was the girl I didn't want to meet, but that was the guy with the two left feet.
This next song is about a very special baseball player. Chip, if you're watching, and Lee, if you're watching, this song is for you. He's your favorite player, and one of mine for sure. His name was Roberto Clemente. From Puerto Rico, probably the greatest ball player ever from Puerto Rico. And Roberto Clemente died tragically trying to deliver humanitarian aid to Nicaragua. The plane that he had hired to deliver that aid unfortunately crashed into the sea just after taking off, and Roberto was on that flight. This was New Year's Eve, I believe 1971, that the plane went down. Roberto had just gotten the 3,000th hit, right on the button, on the final day of the season that ended a few months earlier. So this is called Roberto.
Maldonado off the Puerto Rican coast. People sometimes stand there and offer up a toast to the greatest baseball player they ever called their own, who went off on a mission and it never made it home. The earthquake was horrific, the aid was pouring in. Roberto helped to organize a whole plane load to send. The Nicaraguan junta had been looting all they could, so he'd fly with it to make sure it got to all the neighborhoods. It would not pass inspection, the plane that he would hire. The pilot that came with it, his license had expired. A local huckster owned it, and he wasn't sure it flew, but he kept that to himself. The paint on it was new. The plane was overloaded, cargo not secured, standard operating procedures, they were totally ignored. The engine didn't sound right, said the people on the ground. When it took off from Managua, tried to circle back around. People still remember where they were that New Year's Eve, when the word began to spread, hardly anyone believed. Helicopters hovered all throughout the nights, just above the waters, sweeping with their lights. search went on for days, frantically at first, till they found his leather case. No one could bear to call it off, so they carried on. But the divers never found him. Roberto, he was gone. Punta Maldonado, off the Puerto Rican coast. People sometimes stand there, looking for the ghost of the greatest baseball player they ever called their own. They went off on a mission, they never made it home.
And there's Roberto. I want to tell you briefly, if you're interested, you can support me on a monthly basis through patreon.com. A number of people are doing this already, and you can support me at whatever level you're comfortable with, from $1 a month all the way up to any amount. And what this does is give me a certain amount of security every month to know that I'll get that amount coming in. It's not nearly enough to pay my bills, but it's a very helpful chunk towards it. So I share things there that I don't share elsewhere. Brand new versions of, or first versions of new songs. I do polls. I do Zoom Hangouts. Whatever I can think of to share. So, if you're interested, I'd really appreciate your help. Also, this is my final show for tips, and anything that you care to tip today, I would really, truly appreciate them. Supporting myself entirely through these live streams. Great tips will equal great karma. Here's a song I did not write. It's about the only cover song that I know. I've learned 5 or 10 cover songs in my entire life. And this is maybe the only one that I still play. It was written by a fellow by the name of Andy Breckman. Comes off of an album he put out called Don't Get Killed, which I think is very sound advice.
Well, now Railroad Bill was a hard-working man. He used to take his women 2 at a time. Everybody had agreed he was the baddest engineer ever drove down the Santa Fe line. Now his name was known by the folks back home to the tippy-top of Telegraph Hill. And the boys out back, when they were sneaking cigarettes, used to dream about Railroad Bill. Well, now one day Bill was a-walking along. He saw a kitty cat stuck in a tree. When he saw what was the matter, he ran and got a ladder and he set that kitty cat free. Bill said, no, ain't gonna do it, ain't climbing up no tree. This is a stupid song, and no folk singer's gonna make a fool out of me. I said, one day Bill was walking along, saw a kitty cat stuck in a tree. When he saw what was the matter, he ran and got a ladder and he set that kitty cat free. And Bill said, no, ain't gonna do it, ain't gonna do it, he said. This is an asinine song, as far as I'm concerned, the cat can stay there till it's dead. I said, wait a minute, Bill, you can't argue with me. For Christ's sakes, I just made you up. I got the pen in my hand, I want you up in that tree. I want that cat unstuck. Bill said, no, I hate cats, ain't climbing for no cat. Why don't you have me save some beautiful girl that's been tied down to the railroad tracks? I said, maybe there'll be room in the 8th or 9th verse, but for now I want you up in that tree. I'm the writer, goddammit, I got the pen in my hand. You're supposed to listen to me. He said, you bozo, why should I listen to you? You should be listening to me instead.
I'm a railroad man, and if I were real, I'd separate your face from your head. You ungrateful brute, I cried. You pushed me too far. I'll show you I can do what I please. Then an earthquake came and shook the terrain and brought Railroad Bill down to his knees. Then a tidal wave broke and everything got soaked, and Bill almost got completely washed away. And a great big monster from Neptune came and bit Railroad Bill on the leg. I got the pen in my hand. I can do what I want. I'm a bright new talent on the rise. Get your ass up that tree, or I swear, Railroad Bill, you won't get out of my folk song alive. You said, you don't scare me. You might be crazy, but you don't scare me. You don't leave me alone. I'm gonna tell everyone where you stole this melody. But before he could speak, his tongue fell out. Billy could not make a sound. So he jumped up on the table and grabbed me by the throat, and he threw me to the ground. Hit me real hard in the stomach, and he hit me in the face, and man, he almost broke my nose. But then a lightning bolt came from out of nowhere, struck him straight between the eyes, and killed him instantly. But that cat came down out of the tree, had a bowl of warm milk, went to sleep for the night. Railroad Bill is survived by a wife and 3 small children. Dear God, I love to write. Andy Breckman. Hey, if you'd like to come to Ireland or to Scotland with me, I'm leading tours there, and here's some information about them. My October tour for this year is sold out. Been long sold out. Even though it says that the 2 April tours, I'm sorry. Let me back up. I'm reading the wrong thing. My July 6th tour has 1 single room left. The second tour there has 5 rooms left. And for the Scotland tours for 2022, the 2 April tours are sold out. I have 1 room available for the September tour. So I hope you'll consider coming with me. Those are the dates. The tours are going to sell out soon. And so if it's something you really are thinking about doing, contact me. You can read all about it at chuckbrodsky.com. If you look on the top menu heading for where it says Ireland, Scotland tours, you can get the pricing and all of the other essential information. I have a brand new song for you. I shared this with my patrons a few weeks ago. I'd like to sing it for you today. It's a song that I started to write a little over a year ago, about 14 months, I suppose, right at the beginning of the pandemic. And it's a song that reflects the uncertainty that I was feeling at the time, that we all were feeling at the time. Would we ever see our loved ones again? Would we ever see each other again, our friends? There were a lot of unknowns. And so this is kind of like my what if song.
This is it, the blink of an eye, and not even time to say goodbye. I'll just leave a little note that you might read the words I wrote. If this is it, just don't know, and you have no say when it's your time to go. I wish you joy, and I wish you peace. If for one of us all should cease, this too perhaps will someday pass. But if this should be our parting glass, may it go down smooth, may it leave you warm, till we meet again in another form. And if the road has run out, I hope somewhere a seed will sprout that I might have dropped and never knew. Or maybe I planted it someplace for you. This is it, and my work is done, and I don't finish what I've begun. I'll let them go, just like balloons, the unsung words and the unplayed tunes. My aim was true, every verse I wrote, every chord I struck, every single note, every mile I drove was to come see you. And there was no such thing as just passing through. So if this is it, my last song, it's meant to be sung just before the dawn, when you still see stars and it's getting light, and you're ready to call it a pretty good night. You still see stars and it's getting light, and you're ready to call it a pretty good night.
I have a couple more songs for you. Gonna do my magic abracadabra trick and switch to the piano.
My prize, I took first place. The poor runner-up, sad look on her face. Didn't drink the champagne, left my ribbon there too. Okay, so I won. What good did it do? Okay, so I won. I stood with conviction, I put up a fight for the truth as I saw it, for peace, love, fought off the darkness for the first round or two. I got my licks in. What good did it do? I got my licks in. What good did it do? In the end I was right. Upon further review, all those things I was saying proved to be true. Was just being honest. You already knew. I just tried to remind them. What good would it do? Tried to remind them. And I could hold a grudge. I could probably hold two. If I didn't learn to budge, I could end up holding quite a few. Didn't like being angry. It's not enough being right. I'd rather be happy. That's a hard enough fight. Rather be happy with all of my might than to sit here and stew. What good would it do to sit here and stew? What good would it do? I'd rather be happy, happy with you.
Well, I want to thank you all very much for watching my streams for the past 48 weeks. I hope you have enjoyed them, and I sincerely hope that you'll move over to the new platform with me every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll continue. Instead of one set, I'll be doing 2 sets with a little break in the middle, and it'll be a slightly longer show. And I hope you'll check them out on Connect Club. But thank you for watching for the last 48 weeks. If you're one of the people who've been tipping, I truly appreciate it. You've helped keep me alive. Thank you. I want to finish this show and this series with a song I'm going to dedicate to my parents. It's the oldest song of mine that I still sing. It's now 40 years old.
Well, I hope I see you later, 'cause it's time for me to go. That's my ride that just pulled over, and it sure was good to know you. So go answer your calling. Go and fill somebody's cup. If you see an angel falling, why don't you stop and help them up? We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. Keep each other going, and we show each other signs. Sometimes you'll stumble, Sometimes you'll just lie down. Sometimes you'll get lonely with all these people around. You might shiver when the wind blows, and you might get blown away. You might lose a little color, you might lose a little faith. We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. Keep each other going, and we show each other signs. So thank you for the water. Thought I was gonna die out here in the desert, but you quenched my thirst. Let's break a little bread together. I've got a little manna. It was a gift from someone who was passing by, offered me a lift. We are each other's angels, and we meet when it is time. Keep each other going, and we show each other signs.
Thank you. Stay well, stay safe, and I appreciate you watching.